Hey everybody, welcome back to the Hat and Beard Show. As you guys know, I am your hostess with the mostest, Hat and Beard, where my pronouns are savage and I identify as sexy. That's right, fellas. We got a great show lined up for you tonight. Hey, as you guys are already well aware, today is the second video of the week, which means we got some hometown cooking. We're going to be discussing the Detroit Lions Week 2 matchup, where we're going to be bringing in for our home opener the Seattle Seabags in a sweet, sweet rematch from last year. We're also going to be discussing Aaron Rodgers. His season kind of came to an abrupt end Monday night against the Buffalo Bills. Didn't get a chance to talk about that last night because I was too busy recording when the news broke. We're going to discuss that a little bit, though, and, before we get too far into it, do me a favor and go ahead and like the video if you enjoy the content. And subscribe to the channel so that you can become part of the crew here. We're trying to grow this channel. If we'd like to hit 500 subscribers here, and I thank you all for tuning in. But if you could do me one more little favor, go ahead and share this video around with your friends. It helps us get the name out there, a grassroots movement. Word of mouth is the best way, so share this with your friends, share this with your family, share this with your kids even. I don't really care. Probably don't share with your kids because we have a tendency to get a little not kosher on the verbiage. So, guys, go ahead and buckle up so we can get into it. Let's do a quick around the league with Hat and Beard.
Let's talk about buttered sausage. Talk about buttered sausage, where it comes from, what it does. Why is it doing what it's doing? Get it out of my face. What about buttered sausage?
All right, guys, last night in the Monday night opener, week 1, big game. Aaron Rodgers set to make his regular season debut for the New York Jets. The first time Aaron Rodgers in his professional career would be outside of a Green Bay jersey, no longer suiting up for the Cheeseheads. He's following the path of Brett Favre, going to the New York Jets, and unfortunately, Aaron Rodgers is not going to have the chance to show his ding-a-ling-a-ling-ding to any cheerleaders because he's going to be spending too much time in rehab. That's right, guys. Not drug rehab. No. He decided to go ahead and on the 4th play of the game, rupture his Achilles. Tear that son gun right in half. He tore his Achilles right in half, bringing his season immediately to an end, potentially even a career-ending injury. Do I think that's actually possible? Right now, I'd say it's 50-50. Aaron Rodgers has a lot to prove. I think he's got a thorn in his ass over whether or not he wants to go down as a Green Bay Packer or prove that he was able to do it outside of Green Bay. Kind of, again, like Favre, these guys get a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, and especially after the Week 1 performance of Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers got to be a little salty in his pantaloons. But this happened Week 1. I'm not saying he can come back for a playoff game. I'm not saying he could even come back for this season at all. But if he has surgery immediately and starts rehab right away, Aaron Rodgers could potentially, if he so chooses, come back for the start of training camp next season and be ready to rock and roll. Do I think that's a possibility? Again, like I said, it's about a 50-50 situation where we're at right now. I don't think I would do it, not at 39 years old, which is what we want to talk about next here, is how did this happen? How did Aaron Rodgers, a multi-time league MVP, let's be honest, he's probably going to be in the Hall of Fame with the accolades that he's amassed. He's been a great quarterback over the years, both with his arm and his legs. So the question is how did this happen? How did Aaron Rodgers, the all-everything quarterback, end up shredding his Achilles on the 4th play of the Monday night opener, Week 1, 2023 against the Buffalo Bills in his Jets debut? Well, was it the turf monster that got him? Possibly. You know, turf is kind of crammy. It's a mix of crappy and crummy. It is kind of crammy around the league in some stadiums. MetLife, they have a tendency to be a little jankety. You know, the league does kind of know that it's a situation. However, I don't think that's the case. Was it the scheme, the protection? Because Aaron Rodgers in his first couple of plays was running for his life. It didn't necessarily look so great. They came out throwing, not leaning on Bryce Hall, who after Aaron Rodgers went out of the game proceeded to run for 127 yards on just 10 carries. Nope, I don't think it was that. Was it the pressure in his face? Was it the Bills' swarming defense that bottled him up, twisted him around? Nope, not that at all. What we have here, folks, is a very, very simple answer to this question. Aaron Rodgers is 39 years old. No 39-year-old needs to be playing in the NFL unless your name is Tom Brady. And the only reason Tom Brady was able to do it for as long as he did was he lived an incredibly strict, regimented lifestyle, both diet and in his preventative maintenance workouts. My man lived life on a routine. He lived and breathed maintaining his machine, maintaining his mind and his machine, so that he was able to go out. Also, Tom Brady, not really known for his mobility. Aaron Rodgers notoriously likes to change directions in the backfield to extend plays, putting a lot of wear and tear on his joints, on his ligaments. Over the years, if he was a younger man, he probably wouldn't have had this happen. However, if you go ahead and look around, not just the league, but in everyone's day-to-day life, where do you see a lot of the majority of knee injuries and Achilles injuries, ankle injuries, that type of, we'll say sports-related injuries aren't necessarily in the sports world because statistically speaking, the majority of people who play sports are youths with the flexibility and those rubbery bones that don't necessarily seem to break every time you fall over. There's one thing I can tell you about getting older, guys. There's one thing I can tell you about getting older. I'm a 35-year-old on the outside, 85-year-old Andy Rooney clone on the inside. Look, the older you get, I don't care who you are. The older you get, the harder the ground is every time you fall, and the harder it is to get back up. So, what we have here is just a very relatively plain and simple, you're too old, Aaron Rodgers. You're too old. Your name's not Tom Brady, and you're just too old. You shouldn't have given it a go. You should have gone out and gotten out while the getting was getting good, man, but you didn't, and you decided to do this now. You get to be in the news media. Everyone gets to be talking about your feet again, which is weird. But now you have to do all this rehab. Now you have to put yourself through all this nonsense. Now you have to go through the media circus. You have to bring the media circus into New York, which is already an established media market that is notorious for being hard on its athletes. You bring in now a circus because not only do they want to know what's going on with Aaron Rodgers' Achilles, but now we have to open up the next segment here of this little Aaron Rodgers debacle. And what are we going to do with the quarterback situation in New York? What are the Jets? What is Gang Green going to do? Are we going to roll with the young Zach Wilson, who last year didn't look very good? If he was more focused on football and less focused on banging people's moms, then maybe he would have been a little bit more productive. However, Zach Wilson claims to have completely changed his mentality, gotten a new spark for the game, figured things out under the tutelage of Aaron Rodgers. He could be the go-to guy considering he's been in the system, and they do have a first-round pick invested in Zach Wilson. There are a couple of other options we could go to, and that is basically what veteran QB do you want to bring in to try and learn the playbook, struggle for the next 3 weeks, and potentially right the ship midway through the first third of the season, second third of the season. Well, there's two names that really jump off the board to you. I can give you three. We're going to give you one guy's name who I don't think is going to be in consideration. However, I just happen to like the guy, and I was thinking about it. Man, I've been watching this cat for a long, long time. Maybe the Jets go the direction of bringing in old Colt McCoy, the former Texas Longhorn. Look, Colt McCoy is a veteran. He's been around a while. Look, Colt McCoy's not going to go out there and win you any games, but he ain't going to lose you any either. So, Colt McCoy is an option. I don't think that's in the cards. I don't think Colt McCoy is really going to be that guy. Again, I think I'd rather go with Zach Wilson over a Colt McCoy. Two other names that pop off to you is, we already talked about him, and that is Mr. Tom Brady himself. I think Tom Brady is on the short list of any team looking for a quarterback midseason when the injuries pop up, because obviously, and it kind of still pains me to say this, even though I really rooted for him when he went to Tampa Bay, Tom Brady is the GOAT. And whenever you have a GOAT who can still come back and play a little bit, look, I know that his last season in Tampa looked like crap, but if you look at the statistics of it, their defense was absolute garbage, especially compared to their Super Bowl year, and they completely abandoned the running game and put all of the pressure on an aged Tom Brady. Yeah, he was the GOAT, but he just didn't have it left in him. He couldn't man the ship and carry your whole team. Yeah, there was wide receivers to throw to, but there wasn't a running game. There wasn't a defense. The New York Jets have both. And they're both really, really good. I mean, Breece Hall is just sensational, especially coming back off of an ACL. You didn't think he would be necessarily this explosive. Maybe you'd see the guy kind of taking it easy, waiting for that other shoe to fall, waiting to test the limitations of his knee and where it would go. But Breece Hall came out and just punched it right in the Buffalo Bills' mouth. Just took it right to him. 127 yards on 10 carries. That's Madden numbers, fellas. That's Madden-like numbers, and that's astonishing. They also have a lights-out defense. A lights-out defense headed up by, Quinnen Williams is lights out. Sauce Gardner, Rookie of the Year last year, he's lights out. The Jets have a top 5 potential defense. If there were a situation for Tom Brady to be able to walk into and potentially make a run at a Super Bowl while also sticking it in the eye of Robert Kraft, even though they're buddies, but sticking it in the eye of old Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick squaring off against the New England Patriots twice a year. That would be kind of fun to watch. But I don't think that's going to happen, and I don't think it's going to happen for the same reason that I don't think Aaron Rodgers should have come back, and I don't think the same reason Aaron Rodgers shouldn't come back from this Achilles injury, and that is, again, Tom Brady, my guy. You're old, bro. You got nothing left to prove. Tom Brady, you got nothing left to prove, my man. Please, please, please do yourself a favor for your mentality, your physical longevity. Bro, even if the Jets call you, even if you answer, you got to turn them down, my guy. You got to turn them down. It's not the right choice, dude. You're going to end up hurting yourself, bro. You're going to end up doing something way worse. Look, the worst case scenario, you tear your Achilles just like Aaron Rodgers. And that's not an easy recovery, but the only option that I see the New York Jets going, and that is with the veteran play caller, Jacoby Brissett. Good old Jacoby Brisket could come in and save the day. I don't think he'd be the starter. I think you bring him in as a depth piece to go ahead and just continue the development of Zach Wilson. If I'm being honest, I think Zach Wilson is the man for the job. Not by choice, but by being the best man available on the roster and on free agency that's going to actually pick up the phone, because what are you going to do? Look, Zach Wilson, you can mask a lot of it with Breece Hall. You can mask a lot of it with your defense. I think there is potential for Zach Wilson to come out and prove some haters wrong. Do I want to see that happen? No, I don't really like Zach Wilson. I think he's a tool. I think he's a douche. I think he looks like Aiden Hutchinson's little brother. But look, those are some options we could go to. All right, guys, after some technical difficulties over here in the Hat and Beard studios, we are back. And now we're going to talk about the segment you guys have all been waiting for. The Detroit Lions Week 2 matchup against the Seattle Seabags. If you guys think back to last season, Seattle came into Ford Field and put some points up on us. We were able to go toe-for-toe for them, but all we needed was one defensive stop. We're going to talk about how important that's going to be. Also, I want to showcase that Dan Campbell, MCDC, is 0-2 against Pete Carroll as the Detroit Lions head coach. And if that isn't ringing in the back of his head, I think you're fooling yourself, because that guy is bulletin board material. He sees those types of things and he sticks with it. If you don't think Dan Campbell circled this game as soon as the schedule was released, you're fooling yourself. This is going to be a huge game. This is going to be another big game for the Detroit Lions. Look, we're heading into week 2. And the thing that I'm concerned about is we're going to be a little too hyped, maybe smelling our own farts a little too much after the Kansas City game, as well as looking at the 30-13 shellacking. The LA Rams came out and slapped on the Seattle Seahawks with Matt Stafford and his gigantic, goofy-ass white teeth. Geno Smith looked terrible. I think he sported a 44.3 or 44.4 QBR. He looked terrible. Couldn't get the ball around. Their running game was non-existent. Their defense did not look good. They allowed the Rams to pile up 3 rushing touchdowns. Look, I don't think there's a whole lot that we can look at here with the Seattle Seahawks. However, I don't want to get too hyped about it because, again, we're only heading into week 2. And if you look at a lot of the offensive outputs last week from teams, you're looking more at like a week 2 preseason team where the offense hasn't really been able to gel together, because we're seeing a lot of teams shy away from playing their starters in the preseason. I mean, even Jared Goff looked rusty on his first couple of drives in KC before he was able to put together. And Geno Smith, I don't think is as good as Jared Goff. So what we need to realize is that things could go entirely different. Is this fool's gold in Detroit? Is it a total bust in Seattle? Who knows? They could come out and we could go completely flat. I hope that doesn't happen in front of a sold-out crowd. I really hope that doesn't happen, especially when you look at the fact that last year we went blow for blow with that offense, and all we needed was one defensive stop. I was screaming for just one defensive stop. We just needed one defensive stop. This year, we have a completely revamped secondary and a much more aggressive defensive line. This year, Geno Smith will not be lighting it up against Jeff Okudah and Amani Aruwariye, statistically the worst corner in all of football last year. Oh, no. No, you got to deal now with CJ GJ and Brian Branch and Cameron Sutton, and who knows, maybe even Emmanuel Mosley will be able to suit up and come back for a few series, maybe test that leg out, see how good we got it going, maybe see where he's at. I'm not willing to push Emmanuel Mosley to come back. I'd rather let him rest up, be 100% when he hits the field running, because our secondary players are able to do enough against the Kansas City Chiefs. Granted, the caliber of player at wide receiver, when you look at DK Metcalf and Lockett, are significantly better than the wide receiving core of Kadarius, I dropped the ball, Tony, and Sky, I'm too small, more. But the gunslinger, again, totally different players. You got Patrick Mahomes on one side, and you got Geno Smith on the other. I know who I'm taking. Now, granted, Geno Smith did win Comeback Player of the Year last year, and I think that's great. I was really glad to see Geno Smith, of all players, be able to right the ship this late into his career. The other thing we want to look at, the defensive line production by the Detroit Lions was absolutely savage. Just a bunch of savages out there just taking it to the Chiefs' offensive line, even with Jawaan Taylor cheating. I'm going to say it, he cheated the whole damn game. Even with Jawaan Taylor cheating, Aiden Hutchinson was still able to generate 6 of the 20 quarterback knockdowns and pressures that we put on Patrick Mahomes that resulted in a lot of bad throws, a lot of timing issues. Why is this important? Well, you guys, you see, the Kansas City Chiefs had a healthy offensive line with an all-world quarterback. And Seattle's limping in, missing their 2 starting offensive tackles, one of them being Charles Cross, who was sensational in his rookie season last year. This is not boding well. Okay, Geno Smith having a 44 QBR and now missing his top 2 offensive tackles against an electric and very hungry Aiden Hutchinson and company. I say and company because there's just so many players you can throw out there. We're just going to generate pressure with our rotationary players. And this is what I've been talking about. This is what I've been talking about since the offseason, is that we have this plethora of players that MCDC and AG are going to be able to just rotate in all day long. You realize we didn't even see much Romeo Okwara. We still got a Romeo Okwara in the reserves to take out our aggressions with when James Houston and Charles Harris and John Kaminsky and Aiden Hutchinson are all just a little too gassed, or maybe they just want to take a series off, or who knows. Maybe we're putting up a 40 burger. A 40 to like 18 burger. Now, I know Vegas has us at a 5-point spread. Do I think we cover that? That's a 1-possession game, give or take the situation. Look, even Vegas doesn't know how this is going to shake out because of all the reasons that I listed. Fool's gold in week 2 or in week 1. Is this a reality? We got a lot of injuries. We got you can buy into the narrative of a West Coast team traveling East Coast to Detroit. The time shift is going to throw everything off. That didn't seem to matter last year. I think the Lions are going to come out and win, and I think the Lions are going to come out and win for a couple of reasons. Number 1, Jared Goff. Jared Goff is going to continue his assault on the longest consecutive pass attempts without an interception. That record, he's zeroing in on that record. And don't think Ben Johnson, big PP Ben Johnson, don't think Ben Johnson and Jared Goff don't have their eyes set on that record. As well as the Seattle Seabags gave up 3 rushing touchdowns to the LA Rams, who have a worse offensive line and significantly less talented running backs than the Detroit Lions do. I expect to see a lot of Monty. I'd like to see Monty get into the end zone a couple of times, maybe pick up a whole 100 yards on the ground. That'd be awesome. Now, before we wrap this up, I do want to talk about the running back situation. I want to talk about one thing that's been popping up that's really been driving me nuts. Everybody is very concerned about the usage of Jahmyr Gibbs. Everybody's very concerned about the usage of Jahmyr Gibbs. Oh my God. Why isn't he on the field all the time? Oh my God, just give him the ball all the time. Well, for one, you paid David Montgomery to come here and take all the bruising bell cow work. That's why you see him on the goal line. That's why you see him getting a lot of the between the tackles runs, even though Jahmyr Gibbs is pretty good between the tackles. You see him getting a lot more of the zone sweeps, as well as being utilized out of the backfield in his receiving capacity, because he is lights out as a wide receiver. He can break tackles. I think he broke 6 tackles on like 9 carries, 9 touches, something like that. Look, there's a couple of reasons why Jahmyr Gibbs didn't get the ball a lot. One, he's a rookie. Okay, we're trying to slowly ease him into the swing of things. Okay, you wanna let him become acclimated to the game despite his natural athletic talent. Number 2. Why would Dan Campbell and company want to show all their cards to the entire league week 1, week 2, week 3? Why not just keep Jahmyr Gibbs just flash in the pan a little bit here or there, let him come out, strike while the iron's hot, get us some chunk plays, make a fucking big splash here or there, and then Lord Almighty, as the season progresses, he's still fresh, which means you get more big splash plays in the playoffs, which means you get to let David Montgomery break defenses down with his physical, aggressive running style behind are just bulldozers of an offensive line, and you let Jahmyr Gibbs come in late in the season and just gash defenses. Look, we got a running back combination that reminds me of 2 different situations. You got most recently, it reminds me of Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram. And if you don't think that Dan Campbell and Brad Johnson, if you don't think that Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes and Ben Johnson aren't building their offense to mimic what the New Orleans Saints had with Drew Brees and Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram, you're fooling yourself. The other thing that I want to talk about, all offseason, the whole discussion has been running backs, their usage, their wear and tear, and why they don't get big contract extensions. Look at Saquon Barkley getting hit with the franchise tag while the G-Men went out and paid $40 million a year. $40 million a year for Daniel Jones, okay? Daniel Jones is not worth $40 million a year, okay? Squan ain't worth $40 million a year, but he's worth a hell of a lot more than a franchise tag. If you're going to play the narrative of running backs get broken down, beaten up, and every single carry that they get takes a little bit of money off their future contract, maybe Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell are trying to keep the miles off of Jahmyr Gibbs to keep him around for a little bit longer. Gee, did you ever think about that, Batman? I don't know. Maybe let's think about that for once. Let's not just look at, we need him out there. We don't. First of all, we don't need Jahmyr Gibbs to be out there that much. We have a solid, productive running back in David Montgomery, and our offense moves the ball just fine without Jahmyr Gibbs. Yes, he's great to have, but no, he doesn't need to be on the field all of the time. Let the kid get adjusted to the league. Let the speed of the game come to him. Let him fully understand and then unleash him when he's completely integrated, locked in, ready to rock and roll, and can just gash defenses. Okay. I would like to see Jahmyr Gibbs get a few more touches, but I'm not calling for him to have 20 touches a game. That's a lot of usage for a guy that's trying to keep the miles off him. He's our shiny new toy, and especially if J-Mo isn't going to be anything. I mean, yeah, I know he's on suspension, but his trajectory, in my opinion, J-Mo is trending towards, I'm not saying he's going to be, but he is trending towards bust lane, okay? So we need to just temper our expectations on Jahmyr Gibbs and realize that he will be used more as the season progresses. I'm getting a little irritated with everybody calling for Jahmyr Gibbs to be the primary running back when David Montgomery can handle the workload and is productive in that workload. I know it started off a little slow, but he came around and picked up that big tutty at the end of the game to just really stick it in the Chiefs' eye. So, look, I think the Lions are going to go out and win. I think we're actually going to come out and win big, okay? I think we're going to be more physical. I think we're going to be playing with our hair on fire. I think that we're going to actually come out and smash the Seattle Seabags. Geno Smith gets taken down 4 times at least, throws a couple of picks. Lions win the turnover battle, win on defense, really bottle up the Seabags offense. Seattle scores 17 points. Lions put up over 30 easily. The Lions put up over 30 easily. That's going to do it for me, guys. I've been Hat and Beard. You've been in a wonderful, attentive audience. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring that notification bell so you never miss out on any content. If you're new here, I appreciate you rocking with me this whole time. Go ahead and say hello down in the comment section. If you're not, I appreciate you coming back for more. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Hat and Beard Show. Week 2 Lions, Seattle Seahawks predictions. I will see you guys tomorrow for a league-wide pick'em style predictions week 2 in the NFL. Until then, everyone, frig off.